President Trump is preparing to speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow to, he says, help broker a peace deal for Ukraine.
And at the same time here at home, the White House is sparring with a federal judge over a wave of recent deportations. Doug Luzader live for us from Washington with more on all of this. Doug, good morning.
Good morning. The president is now suggesting an announcement about the war in Ukraine could come this week following talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. It was just after midnight that President Trump arrived just outside of a rainy Washington. During the flight from Florida, though, some late-night news about efforts to end the war in Ukraine.
I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday, and a lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end.
That follows efforts to get Russia to sign off on a ceasefire deal. It will be a real test for the Trump strategy. That follows a big legal test here at home after the administration sent hundreds of suspected immigrant gang members to El Salvador. A federal judge ordered the planes to turn around, but the White House says they had already departed U.S. airspace. The Democrats have been questioning the U.S. law used to justify the process.
We can't trust this administration to actually use a scalpel, but instead they love to use a butcher knife on things.
And the president also followed up on his claim that the former administration used an auto pen to sign some of President Biden's documents, including perhaps a last-minute wave of pardons.
Did he know what he was doing? Did he authorize it? Or is this somebody in an office, maybe a radical left lunatic, just signing whatever that person wants?
Okay, Biden would not have been the first president to use an auto pen. There have been questions about its legality, but President Obama was actually the first to use one to sign legislation. Brooke and Bob.
Back to that ceasefire deal, possible ceasefire deal with Ukraine, Doug. The president yesterday talked about land and power plants that might be discussed with Putin. So really, when it comes to this, the devil is going to be in the details.
Yeah, although, you know, the fact that it's coming down to this high-level conversation tomorrow, we assume it's a phone conversation between Presidents Putin and Trump, would make you think they've worked out a lot of these details. You know, we've said this before, though, when Zelensky came to the Oval Office, thought that, well, this deal is all worked out. Right. These things can fall apart, of course, at the last minute, but the fact that they're having a conversation would seem to indicate that maybe a lot of those details have been worked out. We'll see.
We will see later this week. All right, Doug Luzader live for us in Washington. We'll check in with you later, Doug. Thank you.